4,000 years ago, the Bronze Age tribesmen who lived in this part of Scotland developed a culture with this style of tomb, passage graves surrounded by stone circles. And two of these particular graves have entrances aligned exactly on the midwinter sunset and possibly facing movements of the moon as well. Altogether, there are about 50 of this style of tomb. The three here, the Clava Cairnes, are perhaps the most spectacular. And certainly they're at a very evocative location. Here, the northeast tomb has been described as a sophisticated prehistoric timepiece. That passageway into the central chamber, the feature that gives these passage graves their name, once led into a central domed chamber that rose 4 meters high. That upper dome, of course, is gone now. These big stone slabs that line the outside, holding in the inner stones, were graded by height, the tallest of them to the southwest to face the setting sun. And the same height arrangement is true of this circle of standing stones surrounding the tomb. They get taller going in this direction. The stones were also chosen for their color and texture. The slabs lit by the sunset tend to be deep red sandstone. Those that face the rising sun are generally whiter or pinker, and they often contain glittering quartz crystals. Today, it's hard to appreciate all that because erosion and lichen have pretty well done away with those colors. At the midwinter solstice, a beam of sunlight would have passed right down this channel, right through this passage, to this inner chamber, and would have rested upon the remains, the skeletons of the honored dead who lay here. Within this tomb, early excavators found cremated human bone, which was a Bronze Age tradition, as well as seashells. At the far side of this row of three, the southwest cairn, showing the same careful arrangement of sizes and types of stone, with the same passageway pointing in the same direction. Here on the southwest cairn is an example of prehistoric decoration, cup marks carved into that red sandstone, laboriously chipped and ground into the rock. Prehistoric decoration like this is found across the British Isles. Their meaning is a mystery. There are as many theories as there are people to make up the theories. Sacred symbols, territorial signposts, maps of the countryside or the heavens. That's asking a lot of closely spaced indentations. Halfway between the two passage graves, a different kind of monument, a ring cairn, had no entrance and was not roofed. Its builders used the same careful selection of stones of particular heights and colors as with those two neighbors. This was part of the original cemetery design, but was deliberately placed just out of the solstice sight line directly between the two graves, slightly off from a straight line. It was surrounded by a stone circle with rays of rubble linking the curbstone to each of the big monoliths in that outer ring. There's one of those rays visible here. Just a bit farther south in Aberdeenshire, there are some similar remains with evidence of fires having been built in the central chambers. No such evidence has been found here, but it's possible that this was done and that rituals involving fire took place here. Who was allowed in to tend the fire, to conduct the rituals, we will never know. These were originally built about 2000 BC, but they were revisited and reused with new bodies being placed into them and slight alterations made 1,000 years later in the late Bronze Age, around 1000 BC. One of the features added to this cemetery by those late Bronze Age peoples was this, a small curb cairn, K-E-R-B, a later addition to the Great Cemetery. But like those bigger and more ancient features, this one too arranged the stones carefully by height and by color to reflect the awareness of the winter solstice. And there's yet more evidence here of this kind of memory, not of the exact cultures or traditions probably, but certainly an awareness of the impressive ancient remains built by the old ones. Reused 1,000 years after they were built, when they were first built, they were designed in conscious imitation of Neolithic passage graves that these builders here must have known about, that had been built 1,000 years earlier. Again, perhaps honoring the traditions of the old ones or the ancient ones. So construction, memory, reuse over a period of 2,000 years.